I think the first time around I had a lot of anxiety, specifically with like choking. With both of our kids, we've done the 100 foods before one challenge. Honestly, I do feel so much better this time around. It is going really well so far. Good morning, you guys. Welcome back to my YouTube channel and welcome to today's vlog. It is currently a Saturday morning, which is one of my favorite days of the week because our family is all together on Saturdays and it's just after 7 a.m. So I'm about to start making breakfast for my 6-month-old Jude, and I thought this would be a fun opportunity to give you guys just a little bit of an update on our baby-led weaning journey. We started it probably like 10 days ago now, and it is my second time doing baby-led weaning. Over the last 10 days, I've been just kind of thinking about some of the things that I wish I had known before I started the first time, just what has been helpful for us, and it has honestly all just been like rushing back because there is so much to research and to learn before you get started. So I thought I would just kind of like condense all of that in this video and just give you guys a little bit more of an insight on how you can get started as well. This time around, I've definitely been just like less anxious and stressed overall. I think the first time around I had a lot of anxiety, specifically with like choking and feeling like I wouldn't know what to do in that circumstance. And of course I did all the training, but I remember I would like be anxious going to bed at night because I would be nervous about giving my daughter solids the next morning, feeling like what if something goes wrong and I'm home alone and all this stuff. And honestly, I do feel so much better this time around. With both of our kids, we've done the 100 foods before one challenge. So with Jude, we're at, I think, 20 foods in the last like 10 days. And I'll kind of get into it in this video when I sit down to recap like how we balance that with allergens and making sure there's no reactions and things like that, but it is going really well so far. I'm also super excited to be able to work with Dossier on this video, and if you guys have not heard of Dossier, they create really affordable and clean alternatives to super expensive luxury perfume brands. So brands like Tom Ford, YSL, Victor and Rolf, but their take on the scents are all clean. So they contain no phthalates, they're vegan and cruelty free, and they smell incredible. I just got a couple of new scents from them because I've mentioned to you guys that I'm trying to figure out what I want my signature scent to be. I got there one that is called Ambery Vanilla, and this one is a dupe of the YSL Black Opium perfume. I know that that one is a really popular one. The top notes in it are like mandarin, pear, pink pepper, licorice, and base notes of cedarwood, vanilla, coffee, and I really am drawn to like those warmer scents, but I also want to find something that works well for spring and summer. So the other one that I'm testing out is a dupe of Victor and Rolf's Flower Bomb, and I'm sure you guys have smelled that. That is definitely like a very popular scent. It's definitely got more of like a floral scent to it, so a really nice one for summer, and I'm excited to be trying these ones out and bringing you guys on my journey to find my new signature scent. So a couple other great things about them is if you test out a scent and you find that you don't love it, it's not really for you, it's not your vibe, they'll actually give you a full refund and you can send it right back to them and keep testing out new scents until you land on the one that you love. And because you are not paying for any of the crazy retailer markups for these specific brand names, you can actually save like 70 to 90% on some of these scents. So highly recommend that you guys check them out. It's such a fun way to kind of find the scent for you. And Dossier has given me a coupon code for you guys. So if you want to save 5% on your order on their website, use the code BethGrace5 and you can save on your order with Dossier. So thank you so much to Dossier for working with me on today's video. Okay, so I just put all of the groceries from our order away, but I left out the things that are more like baby-led weaning specific, and our whole family will be eating these things. This is not all just groceries for my 6-month-old, but I thought I would walk you guys through kind of like why I've purchased different things. So eggs are obviously a staple. We do those a lot, and I'll do them like in strips. I get Country Harvest bread. So this is a bread that is safe because there's no honey in it. That's definitely something that you want to check in the ingredients list with a bread that you're buying, is that there's no honey, because that can be a risk for infant botulism, which is definitely something that we want to avoid. So I found that this one has just worked well for us. I grabbed some white kidney beans because those are an excellent source of iron and they're really great for just mashing and giving for lunches and things like that. I also got a pepper because I needed another one for a recipe this week and I've got more in the fridge, but this week I want to introduce pepper to Jude, and basically to do that I'll cut like a big half of it and then bake it, remove the skin off and let him kind of just like gum on a big section of it. Broccoli crowns are really awesome. This is a great source of vitamin C and just a good like leafy green. So we've tried that and he's really liked it. Bananas are awesome. I use them just to kind of like cut them and have him chew on them, but also in pancakes and things like that. I wanted to introduce kiwi this week, but the cartons of kiwi were $8 each. So I went the frozen fruit route and I'm going to kind of mash these up and allow him to just kind of play around with that, serve on a spoon that he can self-feed with. So I got that. Got another package of baby cereal. This is our favorite one. It's from Baby Gourmet. I use this just as plain baby cereal. I'll put it in different recipes. I'll kind of just use it as an additive to boost iron. Got some avocados because those are a great fat source. Some apples because I like to boil those as well, kind of cut them in half, take the skin off, put some cinnamon on, and just have that be like a nice little almost dessert type food. I got this Greek yogurt, and with Greek yogurt you want to go full fat because they need the nutritional value from that. So he's not had yogurt yet, but I do want to introduce that this week. We have some chopped spinach. So again, it's just a cheaper way to do it and have it be frozen in these little like nuggets that I'll microwave, and it's just another way to get vitamin C. Over here, I have another jar of peanut butter. We have not introduced peanut butter yet, but I plan on doing that today too, to just kind of show you guys what it looks like to introduce an allergen. Also because my husband is home and it's kind of a safer time in my opinion to do that. So we'll introduce that today. And then just a couple of other things down here. So I always really like to have a prune option available just because when you introduce solids at first and their like body is adjusting, it can be really hard on their stomach. So just keeping them moving, it's nice to have prunes on hand. And then I also have a couple of Mum crackers. So these are safe as of 6 months because they do kind of dissolve in their mouths as they're holding them, and there are mixed opinions on these. Some people love them, some people don't. We really like them and use them for our first as well, just because we do all of our meals like at the table together, and Jude doesn't always get a meal. I don't give him a meal for every single like lunch, breakfast, dinner at 6 months. So sometimes I'll just give him one of these to snack on, and it kind of feels like we're all participating in the family meal that way. So this is what I have for baby-led weaning in this week's grocery order. I should also note that we do serve meat as well. I just kind of have all of that in the fridge already, and we just give him whatever meat we are eating for our meals that week. So this week we're gonna have some ground beef, we're gonna have some chicken. Last week he had salmon, he had chicken, he had turkey, and so we just kind of go with whatever our family is eating in terms of like meat for that week. And then I will kind of do a couple of different things for him and serve them differently, obviously for safety, depending on what he has or hasn't tried yet, but the way that you approach that is different for every family. A couple of other things that I do like to keep on hand are lentils. Those are another great iron source. Flaxseed and chia seed, which are just good in kind of like small dosages for them at this age on top of things for nutritional value. And then we like to keep no salt added chickpeas on hand, as well as black beans, because beans are just a magical food for babies at this age when it comes to iron. Jude just woke up from his nap. He slept for about an hour and a half and hadn't eaten since like close to 7 a.m. So he just had some milk. I'm probably gonna have the kids play for a few minutes, like 20-30 minutes, while I make his breakfast. So then that way it's like more settled before I try and feed him solids. You wanna show them your baby? You can show them. Does your baby eat food like Jude does?
The baby does.
She's been wanting to feed her baby food as well since Jude has been eating, and it's so cute.
Done.
Yeah. Okay, time to make another baby breakfast. So I have laid out everything I'm gonna use here. I'm going to do eggs for him today. So I have some scrambled egg here, and I'm going to mix in a little bit of spinach in there. That's just for vitamin C. Vitamin C is really helpful because it helps them absorb the iron from whatever iron source you're providing, whether that is eggs, some sort of meat, or beans. So we've got spinach. I also have some kiwi defrosting from that grocery order this morning, just because he's never tried that before. And then I'm also gonna give him this crusty piece of bread here that I'm going to use to give him peanut butter for the first time. So I have personally found that the toast strips, while they're a great option, they're a little bit harder for young babies because the toast, if it's like soft, can get gummy in their mouth. And while the toast ends up starting out like kind of hard, while they chew on it, it gets really soft. And my toddler actually, when she was Jude's age at like 6 months, really had a hard time with that. She would gag on that like most out of anything. So then I took a break from toast and kind of revisited it later. Depending on how Jude does this week, I might introduce the toast strips, but until that point, this is the way that we're gonna do bread. So basically I have a loaf of sourdough that's in rotation, and I took the crustiest pieces of it off and have frozen them. And I'm gonna use that because it's just gonna be easier for him to kind of like gum and practice having bread during his meals. So to be totally honest with you guys, I usually plate it and then slide it fully out of the way because it's so overwhelming for them to work off of, seeing this entire plate. I find it's a lot easier to just place one thing at a time right in front of them and have them work on that. The first week I found that he wasn't really bringing much of anything to his mouth, and so I would kind of help guide it into in between the thumb and the like pointer finger or index finger, and I seem to notice that that has helped him just navigate it to his mouth a bit better. And now he'll be more likely to pick it up off the table, but that's just kind of a trick I found, is to kind of help just tuck it in there a little bit if nothing is going to their mouth at first. And if it doesn't go to their mouth at first, that's totally okay too. They're just exploring what it feels like, and eventually they'll get there. For water, we also introduced that at 6 months. This is the Love Every cup. It came in one of their kits. I think it might have been the 5-6 month kit. And we just do the open cup from the start. Haven't been that nervous with the allergens this time around, like I was saying, but with peanut butter specifically, I think because of the, what is it called when you like actually have like, no, I think it's anaphylactic. Yeah, because of the anaphylactic stuff, I just always want Jared home just in case. But another thing that I always do with baby-led weaning in general is keep a phone nearby. I try and like not be on it and pay really close attention while they're eating, just for safety reasons and stuff like that. But I do also like to have my phone charged and in the same room if for whatever reason like you need to call because CPR doesn't work or something like that. So those are just some extra precautions that I take. This kiwi is kind of sour, so I'm curious to a bunch of it just went into the bib.
It's a little sour.
It's launching. There you go. You seem to like it. Going back for more. Oh. Straight for the plate. All done. So I think that he's finished because he's kind of stopped reaching for the food that's been in front of him. And this is what the aftermath is. Honestly, not that much like around the chair. A lot in his bib. He just wants the camera right now. And this is what the plate looks like. So he did get a few bites of the egg, but mostly just gnawed on a lot of the pieces. They were longer though, so I did see quite a bit like actually go in. The kiwi he ate a lot of, and that was just like on a preloaded spoon that I passed to him and he ate off of. And then this is what the piece of bread with the peanut butter looks like. So he got a little chunk of it off there, and then mostly just kind of licked and gummed at the peanut butter. And then the water, I feel like he always does drink a pretty good amount of too. He just seems to really like it. But this is the aftermath of his breakfast today. Because he had peanut butter, I am going to watch pretty closely for the next like 2 hours or so. He has a couple of bumps on his face just from like having food smeared around it in the past couple days. So I know that that's not from the peanut butter, but we'll just keep an eye on him and see how he does. I often do also get questions about like the plates and stuff that I would recommend, and for Viv, we use a lot from a brand that was called Mommy's Ark. We have not had any issue with them, but I have heard that their like shipping and stuff can be a little bit spotty, and so customer service is not great there, but I have not had an issue with them, and the plates have worked great for us. But the ones that I find have the best like stick and suction to the table, if you have a child that really likes to throw food or wants to just like pick it up and chuck it, are the Easy Peasy brand, and they also have some really great cups and things like that. I believe that the tiny spoons are from a brand called Itsy Ritzy, and they're nice because it's just a little bit easier for them to hold, and so that's kind of what we use. It's finally time to take down the bassinet, and I'm literally crying because I feel so emotional about taking it out of our room. It's literally just been like sitting up against the wall for like at least a month and a half since he moved, because I just wasn't feeling the motivation to put it away right away, but then the time just kept going by because I just didn't want to not see it there. And now I'm just reminiscing on the newborn stage. And I'm a mess because I'm PMSing, but Jared and I are gonna take this down. We're also gonna take down the little like change mat thing that I had on the dresser, because his clothes are still in here, but we just don't ever use that. Like I literally just change him everywhere, or in Viv's room on the dresser there. So it's time to say goodbye to all of these little baby things that he had now that he's 6 months old, because you're just such a big boy now, hey? Jared and I were just saying though how great this thing was and like still is, because look, he's 6 months old, he's a huge baby, and he still has so much room in the like baby bay maxi. So this was definitely worth it for our family. Say bye-bye, baby bed. So it is officially the next day. I am currently sitting in the seating area that we now have in our bedroom now that the bassinet is moved. It opened up just like a massive chunk in our bedroom that we were not previously using for anything. So I actually moved the rocking chair from our toddler's room into this corner, and now I have like a nice cozy little comfy corner to hang out in. And so that's where I'm filming this afternoon. I thought this would be the perfect time to just sit down with you guys and just kind of dive into everything that I know about baby-led weaning, everything that I would have wished that I had known before I started, the things that I've picked up along the way. And I wish that I just had someone to sit down and lay it all out for me. So I'm going to try and do that for you guys today. Because there is so much information when it comes to things like the types of food to offer, the nutrition that you want to be giving to your baby, how to serve foods, recipe ideas, gagging versus choking, all of this stuff. I think that a course is actually a really helpful thing to do. And so the one that I took was offered by Happy Healthy Eaters. They have a course called Start Solids Confidently, and it is so thorough. It's basically just online videos that you'll watch that will walk you through all of the things that I just mentioned and kind of allow you to see your progress over time. And so around like the 5-month mark is a perfect time to do that if you just want to start wrapping your head around what this journey is going to look like for you and your baby. And honestly, since I've taken the course, I feel like I've become good friends online, even with Jess and Nita. They are incredible. If you follow them on Instagram and send them a DM about any questions that you have when it comes to baby-led weaning, they will answer you. They're just like so passionate about what they do and resourcing moms and families when it comes to starting solids confidently and introducing solids to your baby. And so I cannot recommend Happy Healthy Eaters enough. It was a game changer for our family. So we used the course, but we also did use their recipe bundles, which were amazing when it came to like meal planning for baby-led weaning and all of that stuff. So I think I do still have a discount code from them from the last time that we went through this with our first baby. I really do feel like it's a great place to start, and will probably be a lot easier for you than trying to like piece together all of these sources of information from all across the internet. So step 2 is kind of whether or not you've taken the course, but I would look into a little bit more the types of foods that you want to offer your baby. So when it comes to the foods that you offer, the big things that we want to focus on are iron, because at 6 months old, the iron that's in your breast milk is actually depleting quite a bit. So one of the things that you'll hear often is that food before 1 is just for fun. And while food before 1 is certainly fun, it's not just for fun, because there are actually nutritional needs that your baby has at 6 months. And so you want to take that into consideration when you're choosing what foods to give your baby. A lot of first foods that we see are like sweet potato and avocado, because people just feel more comfortable with the texture and consistencies of those foods. And while there's nothing wrong with that per se, your baby does actually need a lot of iron. And so a great first food option would actually even be a chicken drumstick. That sounds crazy, I know, because we're just so like accustomed to thinking of babies eating like rice cereals and purees and things like that. And of course, this is all going to come down to your comfort levels. But if you're cutting your foods properly and serving them in a safe way, you can kind of accomplish everything of having your baby explore new flavors and textures, try their foods, but also get that nutritional value that they do actually need once they're 6 months old. As I mentioned, with both of our kids, we did the 100 foods before 1 challenge, and we didn't necessarily have a list of foods that we wanted to hit. What I kind of did was work off of the foods that our family most often ate, because those are priorities for us once we want to get into the rhythm of having our babies eat the same meals that we're eating at meal times. And so I would start by kind of introducing some of those types of foods and then just tracking them in a note on my phone as we went. So when it comes to figuring out the types of food that you want to serve, I would also say to think about how to cut them safely. And I would highly recommend the Solid Starts app for this. So Solid Starts is an app where you can basically see all of the nutritional value of these different types of food, but most importantly, the safest ways to cut each of these foods so that your baby is less likely likely to choke on them. So for example, when you have a 6-month-old, you want to be serving really large pieces. And that sounds kind of weird. If you give them a really large piece of food, like a giant strawberry to gnaw on, most of the time at 6 months, they're just taking tiny pieces off of things. They're sucking on things. They're getting used to holding food and bringing it to their mouth. And you're going to be less likely to have them actually like choke on a piece of food if it's served the right way. So the great thing about Solid Starts is that if you go into the app, you can search for basically any type of food and they'll show you photos of how to best serve it at like 6 months and then 9 to 12 months and kind of beyond. So that was a game changer for us. We definitely use that every single time we prepped a meal for both of our kids to figure out what is the best way to serve this food so that it's safe for our kids. Step 3, I would really focus on education when it comes to gagging versus choking. Now, if you take a course, this will usually be covered in the course, but even for myself, I liked to get a refresher here and there. And so there is a helpful YouTube video that kind of walks through what to do in this scenario, and I will link it here for you guys as well as in the description box. This is honestly one of the reasons why I think a lot of people don't do baby-led weaning is because they're afraid of gagging and choking. And one of the things that I found like really comforting information is that at 6 months, it's actually the safest time that you could serve like whole pieces of food to your baby because their gag reflex is as far forward as it's ever going to be in their life. Essentially, as you get older, that gag reflex just moves further and further back. And so it's really helpful for a baby to be able to practice eating and chewing things when it's far forward. And that's why there is a lot of gagging that happens at this age. It's not because the baby is choking or they're in an unsafe position. It's oftentimes just because that gag reflex is really far forward, and that's your baby's natural ability to push something back out again. And it doesn't necessarily mean that they're in danger. The general rule of thumb is that if your baby is still making noise and they're actively working it out, that they're gagging. Choking is when you can't hear any sound being made, your baby's face is turning blue, and that's when you really want to jump into action and have that infant CPR be something that you feel confident with. We have seen quite a bit of gagging, and that just comes with the territory, and of course it happens with purees as well. In addition to high iron foods, you're going to want to offer a lot of foods that are high in vitamin C, so these also help with iron absorption. So that is how I've gotten started both times, but when it comes to just like different things that I've learned along the way, I'm going to share all of those tips with you guys as well. So I was very overwhelmed at the start of thinking about doing 3 meals per day or even 2 meals per day and felt like that's what I needed to do. We literally do 1 meal per day at 6 months. You don't need to offer that many meals per day to your baby. You can achieve what you want to achieve when it comes to nutrition and also the opportunity for them to explore with just 1 meal per day. Don't feel overwhelmed about having to start with 3. You can definitely just start with 1 if you want and work your way up. But if it works really well for your life and you would rather have your baby at the table eating with you for 3 meals a day and just do smaller amounts of food at each meal, that's okay too. That's one of the really nice things about baby-led weaning is that it's all about making it work for your family and your lifestyle. And so you can be a little bit flexible, but don't feel like there needs to be a ton of pressure. Next thing, because I know I'll get questions on this, is like how many foods to offer at a time and how long to wait in between. So as far as I know, it's actually like outdated information that you can only serve a baby 1 food at a time every single day. It's okay to have different types of food on the plate being served for the first time. It's mostly just when you're serving a common allergen, so things like wheat, dairy, eggs, peanut, soy, that's when you want to serve 1 of those at a time and wait 2 hours to see if there's been a reaction. But for things that are not common allergens, like blueberry and broccoli, for example, you can serve both of those for the first time in 1 meal and not worry about whether or not your child is going to have a reaction. The next things that I've learned are kind of all about the timing of feeding. So one of the first things is that I would highly recommend trying to do a feeding closer to the start of a wake window. That is so helpful if you want to make sure that your baby is not overtired going into that feeding. They're just so much more apt to actually like take advantage of the opportunity to eat and to learn if they're more alert and awake. This is also helpful because you don't want to feed them solids too close to the last feeding of breast milk or formula that they had because they probably won't want to eat anything anyway. And because breast milk or formula is still their like highest source of nutrition, you always want to do that before solids. So waiting until like 20 to 30 minutes after they have had milk can be a really helpful way to do it. And then on the days that I'm introducing an allergen, it is that 2-hour period that you want to have a close eye on them. So I try and avoid putting down for a nap right after I've introduced an allergen. And that's another reason why feeding towards the beginning of a wake window can be better, because for things like allergies, if you're putting them right down for a nap after they eat, it's going to be hard to know if your baby is actually reacting or not. The last thing that I have found so helpful has been meal prepping. Having recipes that you can make in large batches, so things like baby-friendly pancakes or muffins or egg bites, can be a really great way that you can have a ton of food on hand for your baby that you can honestly just heat up when you're ready to serve that meal instead of having to cook from scratch every single time. Happy Healthy Eaters again has really great recipes for this, and we've used those recipe cards now so many times, and I will definitely be coming back to them this time as well. Right now we have not dropped any feedings. He's still breastfeeding the same number of times per day. We're not doing any purees this time around. We're jumping right into solids. And so if there's anything else that you guys are curious on that I haven't hit on in this video, definitely let me know in the comments section or shoot me a DM on Instagram. I'd be happy to answer it for you. I think I'll probably do a couple of like recipe type videos or like a what my baby eats in a day, just because I know even for myself that finding the inspiration for different meals can be so tough to do. So let me know if that's something that you guys want to see too. So let's do a little 6-month baby / postpartum update. Obviously we've introduced solids and we have also moved Jude out of our room, and sleep is going pretty well so far. I do think that moving him from our room was really helpful in him just kind of getting his own space and not waking to feed so many times per night. When he does wake up in the night, which is generally like once per night now, although last night for the very first time ever he slept from 7 to 7 straight, and it was so incredible, and my boobs hurt so bad when I woke up this morning. He generally will only wake up once most nights around like 3 a.m. In terms of physical milestones, he is now sitting up independently, which is a lot of fun, especially when it comes to seeing like him and our toddler play together. I wouldn't like fully walk away from him at this point in time because I have seen him just be a little bit topsy-turvy since he started doing it, but he's getting better with it every single day. He's also pushing up through his forearms, putting weight down on his legs, and so it's been really cool because honestly with him, because of the fact that he had reflux for the first few months of his life, and I don't know if it's gone now, but I would say that it's gotten a lot better since we've introduced solids. We found tummy time to be really hard because he would always just puke and then face plant in it, and I felt so bad, and so we were always having to do modified tummy time or shorter versions of tummy time, and so I was honestly getting a little bit concerned for his like physical development because of that. But then it was like all of a sudden he started doing all of these things right on track, and so that has been really encouraging. And if you guys are in a position where you're worried about physical development for your baby, the same thing could happen for you. Just stay consistent with it, get another opinion if you feel like you need to, but a lot of the times they'll just start doing it when they're ready, and they'll do it out of nowhere. When it comes to breastfeeding, it is going so well, you guys, which is a huge praise report from me, honestly. Last time at this point, I was already having to supplement and take medication for breastfeeding because every single time I would get my period back, I would basically dry up my milk supply. This time I have not had any issues with milk supply except for one time when I got sick and it dipped a little bit, but then it was like the next day it was back up again. And that has been a huge answer to prayer. And it's just been really nice to be able to just have kind of a stress-free breastfeeding experience this time around, because it is tough to have to navigate supply and knowing whether or not you're gonna have enough for your baby. But I am happy to report that breastfeeding is going strong and there are no signs of any change in my supply anytime soon. Well, thank you guys for watching this video and hanging out with me today. I hope that you enjoyed it, and it could just be kind of like a friend-to-friend conversation on baby-led weaning and what that experience looks like if you are about to get started on that journey. I'm so excited for you guys. It honestly is a really, really fun one to take on. I would also love for you to subscribe to my channel if you don't want to miss out on future uploads. It's so fun getting to know all of you and where you are at in your motherhood journeys. And I also wanted to remind you guys that if you want to check out Dossier's perfume, you can do that with my discount code. So the code for that is BethGrace5. But until my next video, I love you guys. I'm praying for you guys, and I will see you soon.